Now let's hear from Jeremy Story with Campus Renewal and the founder of Every Student Sent. Jeremy?
So I just wanted to first say thank you guys for everybody being here. Everybody on this call is really just a father and mother in the faith and is sowed into this in so many different ways, from the marketplace to the colleges to the high schools. So excited to be with you guys today. I mean, really, I'm just looking around the Zoom room virtually and really thrilled just to see such a great group of people coming together to solve probably one, or be a part of solving one more step into seeing this issue addressed. So what I was going to do, there's a lot of people that are going to talk about the need today and a variety of aspects of that need. I'm going to focus on just the platform itself and the app as we move forward, because I think that others things are going to be covered more adequately by others. So we all know why we're here. We've all seen students walk away from Jesus in college and in exiting out of high school and even in high school, but we're seeing a lot of in that transition to young adulthood that happening across the country and in droves. There we go. And this is sort of just a graphical pipeline of that. You know, somewhere between 60 to 70% of students that are in our high school ministries and churches today, in one way or another, get disengaged from their faith, from churches, from a variety of places. The lowest figure on that I've seen is around 40 to 30%. But ranging all the way up to as much as 70. Any of those numbers are significant and should draw our attention. Anyone who's been pastoring a local church can tell you the difference in things over the last even decade and then what that's meant for their church. And what that effectively means, though, is that many people are heading off to our nation's colleges and colleges across the country. We're losing a tremendous number of disciple makers in culture because they don't just walk away in college, but oftentimes they are staying away from the Lord and from their faith and engaging in any significant way well out of college and well throughout their adulthood. And we're seeing this phenomenon occur and affect then culture more broadly. So you can see on this, the loss in college isn't just some isolated thing. It really is impacting Christ in the marketplace, in politics, in families, in schools, and all spheres of society. So the goal really is, how do we raise up and engage purposefully people as disciple makers as they're heading into college? There's a variety of ministries that have been a part of the ESS Coalition. Many are shown here. Others are listed elsewhere. We'll talk about those throughout the broadcast today as we discuss and get to the discussion point of it. But I really wanted to just follow a high school student from college into the workplace. Like I just mentioned, oftentimes what's happening is these students are encountering the Lord, obviously in high school, middle school, elementary school, and then walking away from Jesus in a lot of ways through into college. But what we've seen more importantly over the last several years of really studying this, and of course I've worked in this field for 30 plus years, it isn't so much that they don't like Jesus. It isn't so much that they have somehow become an atheist, although that does happen. What also often more subtly happens is they don't see, and the churches in our country are not giving them an understanding of how all the Bible knowledge that they're given and shared actually then impacts the culture around them, and how Jesus matters in, say, their job or their career or their college. And so when they encounter a space that's intensely secular, like most of our colleges in our country, for the first time, and they're sent off into that space, they are not prepared for how their knowledge of the Bible applies to the world that they are now in. So they don't know how to live out their faith fully in a hostile secular environment. Now, many countries around the world, this has been something that they've had to deal with for a long time. But because of the blessing in our country of the freedom of faith, we've sort of taken that for granted. But unfortunately, we can't continue to take it for granted because we're sending students untrained as to how to engage the college worldview, but even beyond that, the marketplace beyond college. So what the Every Student Sent platform is seeking to do and growing and building is to help provide coaching for a purpose and major for students that are headed into college out of high school, college-bound students out of our nation's youth groups and churches and youth ministries, so that they're thinking about not just how do I earn money or how do I get a good major, but how does that major fit within God's calling and gifting for me? And so we want to help people do that through courses, through trainings, through individual consultations, whatever we can do to help prepare them so that they're not just thinking about a major from an earthly perspective, but they're thinking about it on how God might be calling them to be a minister within that major, if you will. So if you look also, we want to through that we do have a variety of online and offline trainings. We want these to grow. They're teaching students specifically how to make disciples that make disciples, how to embed themselves in dark places in culture, starting off maybe a fraternity or a football team or a Starbucks or the business school inside college, but beyond that then in culture. If they can't do it in the college context, then they're more than likely not going to be successful at doing it once they enter into, say, the boardroom at Google or even a cubicle at Google. So we want to help train them on how to do that, which is more than just teaching them evangelism. It's teaching them how to be in the world but not of it, how to plant simple expressions of the church that multiply. So instead of thinking of church as an auditorium with followers, we want students to think about themselves as missionaries that are creating circles of friends that are on their dorm floor or in their major, and those friends that they are then pastoring, both believers and non-believers, to make disciples that make disciples in a simple church context, similar to some of the house churches you might see around the world, or what we see in small groups in Iran or other places like that, where you can replicate and it can be completely student-led, and students are literally effectually pastoring the people around them. And we know that they can take that into the culture beyond. And so in the eyes of a student, they're prepping through 11th and 12th grade, often for a college major. They do that right now, oftentimes through the College Board sites and things all around academics, which is great, but they don't necessarily, no one is intentionally saying, how do we guide them in that process from a spiritual perspective? So we want to connect with them all spring and summer and start them on college with a team on mission, so that they're not just going to any college and hoping that things are going to work out. Hope is not certainly a strategy, but more than just hope, we want to give them a strategy of connection with other students that are headed to that same college. So we want them to first be able to select the right college, not just considering what are the academic elements of that college or what the SAT scores are, but what ministries and churches are already there. That should be part of their consideration and thinking about it. Are they a student that needs to go plant something where there is nothing? Are they a student that needs to go be a part of something where there is something? And where might they connect if they're one of those two students? So selecting a college with spiritual ideas in mind as well. Also for high school seniors, helping connect them with a team of friends who are maybe not in their city presently, but are in another city and then are going to head to that same college. So they can connect through our platform with other students to find roommates, to find friendships, and both from other colleges, maybe one's going to Harvard and the other's going to UCLA, but also when they're both headed to the same college. And then also we want, once they're in college, to make disciple-making communities like I just formally described in different academic departments. Whatever they're going to do, they're going to study something. And that studying of something, they need to learn how to be missional within the context of what they're studying. And what better place to do that than the academic departments they find themselves in? And if not there, then their dorms or their fraternities or social clubs they partake in. But how do you find yourself in a secular space and be successful at multiplying the church and leading a simple expression of the church there? Now, notice we're not necessarily just saying taking people to a church off campus, but literally how do you create an expression of the church within the context of what you are studying or where you are living? And how do you do that as a full priesthood of the believer, as a student? Because increasingly these colleges are hands-off to many of the college ministries. So the people they're not hands-off to, though, are of course students. So we need to train them on how to be marketplace ministers and having marketplace ministry people mentor students. As a senior, we partner with marketplace ministries, and we're eventually working on building out a job search engine like a Christian version of Indeed on the back end, so that they can be connected into jobs and things in the community, as well as marketplace ministries providing content to help students think about being a minister in the marketplace, whether that's education, business, whatever. We want them to be able to do that. And in terms of research, we're going to move on to other speakers that will give you that research. But we're looking at starting, of course, broadly across the country, as we already have. We have 15,000 or so users in the system right now, people that have gone through the system. But we also want to go dig deep in a few cities to create model city efforts across the country that could then be replicated. And these are some of the cities we've already been working with and trying to begin that process. I want to show you the app real quick and then I'll be done. I wanted to show you a live version of the app. I do have it on my phone, a test version that we've now developed that is working fully functionally, but I can't get it to share across Zoom well for some reason. So I just threw in some screenshots here of it just a few seconds ago. And so these are some of the screenshots from the new app. It's basically taking all the lessons we've learned in the mobile web version and putting it to an app, and also allowing for notifications and things like that, so that now, say when a student messages a ministry or another student, or they're doing private messaging within the platform, or they're taking a course, we can push notifications straight to their phone when somebody responds. or when they get a reward or something else occurs in the system. And that allows us to have even more instant interaction with the students through their devices. Most of our surveys and looking at who's coming to the site presently over the last several years, it has shown that probably 65%, not probably, definitely 65% or more are using mobile devices. So rolling out an app will allow us to even better connect with students. One of the things we're doing as we roll out the app, and I'll finish here, is instead of centering the entrance to the app, and I'm going to stop the screen share so I can just look straight at you. Instead of centering the entrance to the app around colleges, of which there are 4,300 or so across the country, we're centering the entrance to the app and eventually the mobile web, the mobile web version around needs that college students have. The top 7 or 8 needs that our users are talking about, things like dating or mental health or other issues that allow them to connect across college campuses around certain needs that people headed out of high school have, and that's focused around them. And what that does is it pushes all of the different users together initially in the thing before they're spread out across all the different campuses. And in that moment, we can also spend time training them and bending them towards mission as we send them out beyond. So it's not just about connecting them into what is, it's also about bending them in a direction of making disciples that make disciples as they are then sent out.
And I'm sure there'll be lots more opportunities in the future to get a real demonstration of the whole app. But Jeremy, thank you so much for giving us that brief introduction. Let's